Have you ever been interrupted mid-sentence, mocked right to your face, or made to feel like your presence didn't matter at all? And then, on top of it all, you were expected to just shrug it off, smile, and swallow the frustration? Not today. Not anymore. Even Keanu Reeves, with his quiet strength and unshakable cool, knows there's a time to stand up and take control. It's time to stand tall, set clear boundaries, and make it known that you are not someone to be dismissed. In this video, I'm going to show you how to handle disrespect with intelligence, confidence, and undeniable presence. You'll learn how to uphold your self-respect and command respect from others, whether they like it or not. If you're done being overlooked, then hit like, share, and follow, because what I'm about to share will change the way you see yourself, and more importantly, the way the world sees you. Let's get started. First, let's talk about a simple yet incredibly powerful technique: sharp silence. Sounds strange, right? Just staring at someone? Exactly. And trust me, it's far more powerful than you think. When someone is deliberately rude, what they really want is a reaction from you. They want to see you flustered, stammering, or losing your temper. They want to pull you into their level, make you feel small, insecure. But what if you just stay silent, maintain a calm, unwavering gaze, and give them nothing? The power dynamic shifts instantly. I know it might sound like a passive move, but it's not. There's an extreme discomfort in being denied the reaction someone is fishing for. When you hold a steady, unshaken stare, you send a message without saying a single word. I'm not playing this game with you. That's how you take back control without lifting a finger. Sometimes, a composed silence is louder than 1,000 words. I remember a time in a team meeting when some guy kept cutting me off mid-sentence, acting like he was the center of the universe, as if everyone just had to bask in his so-called wisdom. I could have interrupted, argued, or fought for my time to speak. But instead, I chose silence. I locked eyes with him, calm, firm, unwavering. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. I said nothing, and that's when the magic happened. The entire room fell quiet. He started shifting in his seat, suddenly aware of what he had been doing. Then, just like that, he stopped, cleared his throat, and I continued speaking as if the interruption had never happened. That was the moment I realized you don't have to raise your voice to assert your presence. Sometimes, a single look can change the entire game. From that moment on, he never interrupted me again. But more importantly, after that meeting, the way he treated me changed. More respectful, more careful. It was like he finally understood I wasn't someone he could just bulldoze over. This isn't just a psychological trick, it's a reminder. For them, and for you. You don't have to move at someone else's pace. You don't owe anyone an emotional reaction. And you certainly don't have to prove your worth to people who don't value you. This is how you reclaim your space, your peace, and your self-respect. Far too often, we rush to react. We over-explain, we defend ourselves, we even let things slide just to avoid confrontation. But silence is not surrender. It is a powerful statement that you're unshaken by petty provocations. More than that, silence forces people to confront their own behavior. People who habitually disrespect others rarely have someone hold up a mirror to their actions. They're not used to being stopped. They're not used to being forced into self-awareness. So when you meet their disrespect with silence, no anger, no frustration, just an unbothered stare, they are left to deal with the weight of their own actions. And most people don't like seeing the uglier side of themselves. That's why this works. And here's the best part. When you do this, it doesn't just change how others treat you. It changes how you see yourself. When you hold your ground in silence, you reinforce your own worth. You're no longer someone who bends at every rude remark or disrespectful gesture. You become someone who knows exactly who they are and what they deserve. That is true power. I wasn't always this way. I used to force awkward laughs at inappropriate comments. I used to explain myself every time someone questioned my decisions. But the more I defended myself, the more drained and uncertain I felt. Until I realized something: you don't always need to respond. Sometimes, the strongest response is no response at all. Sometimes, all you need to do is hold your gaze and let the silence speak for itself. It's a small shift, but it changes everything. A quiet challenge, a clear declaration of self-respect. So next time someone oversteps, disrespects you, or tries to make you feel less than, pause. Look them in the eye. Let your silence do the talking. Don't rush to explain. Don't let yourself be dragged into their negativity. Because silence is not weakness. It's a statement that says, I won't engage in this because I respect myself more than that. And you'll be surprised. They'll be the ones feeling uncomfortable, not you. Next, let's talk about a powerful tool that is often underestimated, non-reaction. When someone disrespects you, one of the strongest responses you can give is to say nothing at all. I know, you might think that ignoring them means letting them walk all over you, that you're accepting the insult. But the truth is the opposite. Not reacting is not passive. It is a deliberate choice, and sometimes it is the most powerful response you can give. When someone throws negativity your way, they not only want to make you feel small, but they also want to draw you into their battle. They want a reaction, a rebuttal, or at least some justification, because that gives them a reason to continue their behavior. But when you don't react, when you let their words fall into the void without acknowledgement, it is they who will be left uncomfortable. Non-reaction carries more weight than any action because it forces them to face their own behavior. I've been in situations where someone repeatedly tried to poke fun, making snide comments full of hidden barbs. At first, I wanted to respond, to show them that I wasn't someone to be bullied. But then I realized responding would only give them more energy. Instead, I chose to ignore them. I let their words drift away without giving them a place to latch onto. And then something magical happened. The person lost interest, their sarcasm no longer had an effect, and most importantly, I felt I had maintained my calm and self-respect. You've probably met the type of person who hides their insults behind a facade of humor, pretending that it's all harmless fun. I had to deal with someone like that once. He made a completely unnecessary remark about my work, clearly just to see how I would react. Normally, I would have tried to explain myself or even snap back with a sharp retort. But this time, I did something different. I simply looked at him silently, raised an eyebrow slightly, and remained absolutely still. I let his words hang in the air, not rushing to reply, not giving him what he wanted. And here's the interesting part. He became flustered. He looked at me, then looked down, mumbling a few meaningless words before quickly changing the subject. That was the last time he tried anything like that with me. Because when I didn't respond, he had nothing to cling to, no power to manipulate the conversation. And that's the power of indifference. It strips away the fuel of disrespect, attention. But more importantly, when you choose not to react, you are choosing yourself. You are saying, I value my peace more than the meaningless judgments of others. And that's not just an act of self-assertion, it's a revolution. We are often compelled to respond, to explain, to prove our worth to people who don't value us in the first place. But when you embrace indifference, you refuse to play their game. You don't need to yell to assert yourself, because your non-reaction speaks volumes. This is not just controlling the situation, it is taking back your own energy. Silence is like a filter, helping you maintain your inner peace by blocking the negative energy others try to impose on you. The moment you stop feeling the need to respond to every rude comment, every snide remark, is the moment you set yourself free. You no longer allow others to easily invade your inner world. You begin living the way you want, instead of reacting the way they expect. I admit that learning to use indifference wasn't easy. I used to think that if I didn't stand up for myself, I would appear weak. But then I realized something important. Every time I responded to those who disrespected me, I only felt drained and frustrated. But when I chose to maintain my calm, letting their harsh words pass like white noise, I suddenly felt lighter. I felt stronger, more in control, as if I had just reclaimed a part of my power. Every time I chose silence over an impulsive reaction, I realized I was regaining control. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time someone throws disrespect your way, don't react immediately. Stop, take a deep breath, look them straight in the eye, and do nothing. No argument, no justification. Just let your non-reaction do the work. You'll be surprised at how flustered they become. And more importantly, you'll feel the liberation from within. Let silence become your most powerful response, because sometimes saying nothing is the most impactful statement you can make. And here's the next thing you need to keep in mind. Don't waste time explaining your choices. This may make many people rethink their perspective, but let's be honest, how many times have you made a decision for yourself only to be immediately questioned? Why did you do that? Why didn't you go to that party? Why did you take that job? It seems like people always assume they have the right to know the reason behind everything you do. But the truth is, they don't have that right. Your life belongs to you, and you don't owe anyone an explanation. It may sound blunt, but think about it when someone asks why. Do they genuinely want to understand you? Or are they just looking for an opportunity to judge? Often, they don't care about the answer. They just want to see if your decision aligns with their own values. If it doesn't, they'll try to make you doubt yourself. But you know what? You don't have to participate in that game. Stopping the explanations means you're asserting your autonomy, showing them that your life is not up for debate or discussion. Let's dive a bit deeper. Why do people feel the need to demand an explanation? Because sometimes your decision challenges their worldview. Maybe you're stepping out of the comfort zone they've never had the courage to try. Maybe you're doing something they're too afraid to face. When that happens, what's their natural reaction? They try to pull you back into their safe zone, where everything is predictable and their beliefs aren't threatened. But here's the key. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You don't owe anyone reassurance or justification. Your life is not a public announcement, and you have every right to live it on your own terms without asking for permission. I remember very clearly the day I decided to change my career path, leaving a stable job to follow my true passion, a risky path, but full of opportunities. When the news spread, people's reactions were as if I had announced I was leaving Earth to settle on Mars. They kept asking, why would you give up a stable job? Or how can you be sure this will succeed? At first, I patiently explained, talking about my desire for a more meaningful job, about the plans I'd laid out. But I soon realized that no matter what I said, my explanations were never enough. The more I explained, the more questions I received, skeptical glances, comments that made me feel like I needed to prove myself. Then one day, I decided to try a new approach. When someone asked, why did you quit that job? I simply replied, because I wanted to. No long explanations, no detailed strategies, just a brief sentence. And the silence that followed was priceless. People didn't know how to continue arguing because I had taken away their right to question me. And interestingly, they stopped asking altogether. The most amazing thing about stopping the need to explain yourself is the freedom it brings. It's when you stand firm in your own choices, not needing approval from anyone else to know that your decision is the right one simply because you chose it. When you stop justifying your actions, you allow yourself to live authentically, no longer carrying the expectations of others. Instead of wasting energy on explanations, you can use it to truly create the life you desire. There's a powerful lesson here. Your life is not a performance that requires the audience's approval. Not every decision needs to be analyzed or approved by those around you. When you stop explaining yourself, you're sending a clear message. I'm confident in my choices and I don't need anyone's approval. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone truly confident explain every decision they made? Probably never. Because those who truly own their lives don't seek recognition from the outside. They understand that the only approval that matters is their own. I used to be that person, the one who would give an entire presentation explaining the reasons behind every choice I made, just hoping for validation. But I realized that validation wasn't as important as truly trusting the path I'd chosen. And when I let go of the need for approval, I found peace and the strength to pursue what I truly wanted. But over time, I realized that trying to explain everything to others only left me more confused, sometimes even doubting my own choices. So, I set a rule for myself. If someone asks about my decision, I'll answer briefly, in 1 or 2 sentences. If they keep digging, I simply smile and change the subject. And you know what? My life became much easier. The less I explained, the more confident I became in my choices. So, I challenge you. Next time someone questions your decision, resist the urge to justify yourself. Just say, because I want to or because it's the right thing for me. Then let the silence speak. You'll be amazed at the power of a simple answer. You'll feel the strength, control, and peace from within. And the best part? You'll realize that your decision doesn't need anyone else's recognition to be valid. It has value from the moment you chose it. Next step, create space. Let's be honest with each other. Sometimes, the best way to deal with people who don't respect you is to create some distance. It might sound harsh, even a little cold, but the truth is, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. If someone consistently disrespects you, one of the healthiest things you can do is give yourself space to distance from them. This doesn't mean you hate them or are overreacting. It simply means you value yourself enough to protect your own energy. Creating distance is not an act of cruelty, but a deliberate choice about where you invest your time and energy. Think of your life like an exclusive, invitation-only club. Not everyone deserves a VIP pass. If someone continuously crosses your boundaries, belittles you, or just spreads negative energy, why should you keep them around? Sometimes, stepping back is exactly what's needed. It helps you see things more clearly without being clouded by guilt or emotional manipulation. Think about it. When you allow disrespectful people too close, it's like inviting them to a party in your mind and emotions, where they can freely criticize, nitpick, and judge you. Then you wonder why you feel drained, anxious, or frustrated. The truth is, creating distance from people like this is not only a smart choice, but an act of self-protection. Remember, you have the right to decide who deserves a place in your life. Protecting the peace of your mind, maintaining mental balance, and making space for people who truly appreciate you. This is not selfish, it's necessary. Letting go of guilt when distancing yourself from those who don't respect you can bring a sense of liberation. You don't have to keep toxic relationships in your life just because of habit or societal obligations. I remember an old friend who always found a way to mock every decision I made. From the job I chose, to the people I loved, even the songs I liked to listen to, nothing was off limits for their ridicule. At first, I thought maybe I was overreacting, maybe it was just their personality. So, I kept in touch, tried to ignore the sarcasm, convincing myself it wasn't a big deal. But over time, those seemingly harmless jabs began to sink into my thoughts. I realized I was always on edge, worried about what the next encounter would bring, what new remark would get under my skin. Then, one day, I decided to make a change. No dramatic confrontations, no long arguments. I simply started spending less time with them. If I used to see them every week, it became once a month, then less and less. And a miracle happened. I felt lighter, freer. In that space, I realized I deserved friends who respected and uplifted me, not dragged me down. Some people will tell you that keeping distance like this is selfish. They'll say, but they're family, or you've been friends for years. It's true that it's not easy to admit that some people we were once close to are not actually good for us. Society teaches us to be loyal, forgiving, patient, but at what cost? Repeated hurt? Feeling belittled? Here's the truth that not everyone is willing to face. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's essential. You weren't born to be a punching bag for someone else's emotions, nor do you have an obligation to be a crutch for those who don't appreciate you. Sometimes, the strongest way to show that you've had enough is to quietly walk away. Distance is a reminder that you have the right to prioritize yourself. You don't have to force yourself to fit the role others have imposed on you. You owe no one the right to control your thoughts, time, or emotions. When you set boundaries with those who don't respect you, it's not only an act of protection, but a declaration. My peace is the most important thing. Distance is not just about keeping yourself away from toxic relationships. It's also a way to show self-respect. By creating space between you and those who consistently undervalue you, you not only protect the peace in your soul, but also create room to truly appreciate the relationships that bring joy and motivation. Think about it. The more time you spend with people who genuinely care about you, the more confident and energized you'll feel. On the other hand, by giving less attention to those who only leave you tired and self-doubting, They'll no longer have the chance to disrupt your thoughts or influence your life. I used to be tormented by guilt whenever I tried to distance myself from someone, even if they didn't truly respect me. I worried they might think I was indifferent or that I was overreacting. But over time, I realized that choosing to distance myself from negativity wasn't just about eliminating bad influences. It was also about making room for growth. When I allowed myself to step away from unhealthy relationships, I felt lighter, mentally clearer, and more certain about the people I actually wanted to share my life with. So, I want to challenge you. Take some time to reflect on the people around you, the ones who regularly dismiss you, make you feel small or drained. Then, ask yourself, do they truly deserve to be in your life that much? Let's talk about a simple yet powerful principle. Stand tall and hold your head high. I know this might sound familiar, even a bit cliche, but trust me, this is one of the most effective ways to deal with those who don't respect you. When someone deliberately tries to hurt you, their goal is to make you shrink, feel inferior, and lose your confidence. They want to see you lower your head, avoid eye contact, as if admitting that you are weaker than them. But when you stand tall, confident, and hold your head high, you send a silent message. I know who I am, and nothing you say or do can shake me. Here's something fascinating. Real confidence can make those who enjoy belittling others feel insecure. Why? Because they are used to manipulating other people's emotions, drawing strength from the weakness of others. When you're not affected by their words or actions, when you stand straight, look them in the eye, and refuse to be shaken, you take away the very tool they've always used to control you. This throws them off course, forcing them to question themselves instead of continuing to hurt you. So, whatever happens, remember this. You don't have to bow your head to anyone who disrespects you. Stand firm, strong, and let your confidence speak for itself. Those who truly matter will recognize your worth, and those who don't will eventually drift away. I once found myself in a situation where every time I met someone I knew, I had to face subtle jabs, sarcastic remarks, veiled insults. The kind of person who always shows up with a half smile, a seemingly harmless remark, but underneath is an undercurrent of offense. At first, I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was just being overly sensitive, that it wasn't worth my attention. But over time, I began to dread those encounters. I always felt like I had to prepare myself to defend, to shield myself. And then, I decided enough was enough. The next time I saw them, I walked in with a completely different posture. Back straight, shoulders open, eyes calm. Each time they made a comment, I simply looked at them, gave a slight smile, and continued the conversation as if their words had never been spoken. And a miracle happened. They started to hesitate. The insults became fewer. They seemed to realize that their attacks had no power anymore. When I didn't react the way they expected, when I refused to let their words invade my mind, their power slowly faded away. Standing tall, holding your head high is not just a physical act. It is a silent declaration. I am not easily defeated. It's an invisible shield protecting you from the negativity around you. And here's the thing. Those who don't respect you often get uncomfortable when they see you confident. They're used to seeing you in a weak position. They want to believe they have the right to impose their will on you. But when you walk with pride, with a strong belief in yourself, you unintentionally shatter their worldview. To them, it's almost an offense. Society often doesn't know how to react to people who are firm in their self-worth. Those who don't let other people's negative opinions define who they are. This might make you a target for scrutiny and judgment. But remember this, standing tall is not about pleasing anyone. It's about living true to who you are. It's how you declare that you deserve respect, that you don't need anyone's approval to know your own value. Your worth doesn't come from anyone's validation. It doesn't depend on whether or not others respect you. You don't have to prove anything. You walk your path with the firm belief that everything you need, all your most valuable qualities, are already within you. You are the protagonist of your own life story, and no one has the right to make you feel inferior. The wonderful thing is, when you practice this long enough, the dismissive or disrespectful words from others won't touch you anymore. You'll be too busy living your own life, standing firm in your identity, that those who try to put you down won't even have the chance. I didn't always have that confidence. There was a time when I would shrink, lower my head to avoid the gaze of others, just to steer clear of judgment. Every time someone showed disdain or criticized, I felt safer staying quiet and invisible. But then I realized, each time I stood tall, each time I refused to let their negativity sink into my soul, I became stronger. It was as if I was reminding myself that my worth isn't dependent on anyone's recognition. I could hold my head high because I decide my own value. Standing tall isn't just about the external posture. It's also about how you shape your mental stance. Walk into any room with the feeling that you belong there. Don't shrink or try to make yourself fit into other people's expectations. If someone makes a snide remark, let it pass like a breeze. They don't really see you. They're only projecting their insecurities onto you. So why should you care? I have a challenge for you. The next time you are disrespected, whether it's a veiled comment or a blatant insult, don't react immediately. Take a deep breath, stand tall, keep your head high, and look them straight in the eye. Your gaze will deliver a clear message. I see you, but I'm not on your level. The sense of confidence will wash over you, bringing a strange calm as you realize their words hold no power over you. Standing tall isn't just about your posture. It's a silent declaration of self-respect. It says, I know who I am. I value myself. And nothing you say can change that. Because in the end, respect starts with you. The more you value yourself, the less space there is for other people's contempt in your mind. Stand tall, own your worth, and remember that you deserve that confidence. Life is too short to bend yourself to those who can't see your true value. Remember, you don't need anyone's permission to stand firm. Protect your peace and live life on your own terms. There will always be people who try to put you down, challenge your limits, or doubt your decisions. That's just how this world works. But the important thing is you have a right to decide what affects you, who gets to be in your life, and how you deserve to be treated. The best part is when you focus on your own self-respect, you begin to attract people who see your true value, those who lift you up instead of pulling you down. It all starts with you claiming your own power, believing in your worth, and letting the rest fall into place naturally. And that's how you can maintain your dignity, set boundaries, and make others understand that you deserve respect. But the most important thing? It all starts with you. When you value yourself, the world will learn to treat you the same way. I want to give a sincere thank you to you for taking time for yourself, for choosing not to accept disrespect, and for deciding to change. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you've ever had a moment where you had to stand up for your worth, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and I want to build a strong community together where no one has to bow their heads to injustice. If there's any topic you'd like me to cover in the next video, let me know. My goal isn't just to share, but to help you find real solutions for your life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming content. And remember to turn on notifications, because what's coming next will be even stronger. Stand firm, live true to your worth. And I'll see you in the next video.